The day I found out, I was standing in the grocery store checkout line, a cart full of food. My daughter sitting in the little cart seat, swinging her legs, humming to herself. I swiped my card. Declined. I thought, okay, wrong card. Happens to everyone. I swiped again. Declined. I smiled at the cashier, apologized, and told my daughter we'd come back later. I buckled her into her car seat, closed the door, walked around to the driver's side, and I completely fell apart. Because I had just checked that account 2 days ago. There was over $19,000 in it. Our emergency fund, our savings, the money my husband and I had been building for 3 years. Gone. Every single dollar. And before I could even figure out what happened, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. She told me I had stolen it. Okay, let me back up. Because for you to understand how devastating this was, you need to understand what I thought my life looked like. My name is Renee. I'm 34 years old. I've been married to my husband Daniel for 6 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter named Lily, and we live in a pretty little house in a pretty little suburb where the neighbors wave at you and the streets have names like Willow Creek Lane. From the outside, perfect. Daniel was everything I ever wanted in a partner. Quiet but steady. Funny in that dry, unexpected way. The kind of man who remembers exactly how you take your coffee and makes it for you before you even ask. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party. He spilled his drink on my shoes and spent the rest of the night apologizing by making me laugh. I married him 18 months later, and I never looked back. But then there was Patricia, his mother. Now, I want to be fair here because I have been very, very careful my entire marriage to be fair about Patricia. She raised Daniel alone after his father left when he was 7. She worked double shifts as a nurse for years. She is tough and strong and deeply loving in that particular way that can sometimes look like control. I understood her. I respected her. I even loved her. I thought. She moved in with us about 2 years into our marriage after she had a health scare, a minor cardiac event, nothing life-threatening, but enough to shake everyone. Daniel asked me if she could stay with us temporarily, just until she got back on her feet. That was 4 years ago. And I want to say, I tried. I really, genuinely tried. I kept the peace. I bit my tongue when she rearranged my kitchen. I smiled when she told my daughter that she was her real mama. I looked the other way when she made comments about my cooking, my housekeeping, my parenting, my weight, my career. I told myself, she's been through a lot. She needs to feel needed. Be the bigger person, Renee. So I was, every single day. Until the day I couldn't be anymore. It started 3 weeks before the grocery store incident. I noticed something small, something I almost dismissed. Patricia had a new phone. Not just any phone, a brand new flagship model, the expensive kind. I remember thinking it was odd because she had complained just a month before that she was trying to save money after her prescription costs went up. I didn't say anything, but I noticed. Then, a week later, Lily ran into my bedroom to show me a new stuffed animal, a huge, fluffy elephant. I asked her where she got it. She said, "Grandma bought it for me at the big toy store." The big toy store is 45 minutes away. Patricia doesn't drive. So she'd taken an Uber, there and back, with money she didn't have. I mentioned it casually to Daniel that night. He shrugged it off, said maybe she'd been saving. Said I was reading too much into things. But then I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Packages arriving at the house addressed to Patricia. New slippers, a silk robe, an air purifier for her room that cost $300, a food delivery order almost every other day. Sushi, Thai, steakhouse leftovers, food she never offered to share. All of this from a woman who told us she couldn't contribute to household bills because she was on a fixed income. I brought it up again with Daniel, this time more seriously. And this time, he got defensive, said I was being controlling, said his mother had a right to spend her own money however she wanted. Her own money. I let it go. For 3 more days, I let it go. And then came the morning I decided to log into our joint savings account to transfer money for Lily's preschool fees. I typed in my credentials. I looked at the balance. 0. Not low. Not overdrawn by a little. 0. A big, flat, devastating 0 with a transaction history that made my stomach drop through the floor. Over the past 6 weeks, someone had made 17 separate withdrawals. Some small, 200 here, 300 there. The last one, made just 48 hours before, $11,000. Wiped out in one transfer. Every withdrawal had been made from a linked external account. An account I didn't recognize. An account in Patricia's name. I sat on the edge of our bed and I read those transactions 4 times because I needed to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. I wasn't losing my mind. And that's when my phone rang. Patricia's name lit up my screen, and when I answered, her voice was already sharp, already prepared, like she had been rehearsing. She said she needed to talk to Daniel, immediately. She said she had discovered something very disturbing. She said she had been monitoring the account. Monitoring, she said, like she had every right. And she had noticed unusual activity that she believed was coming from me. She said she thought I had been secretly draining the account. For months. I couldn't speak. She had spent 6 weeks stealing from us. And in the same breath, she had built an alibi and pointed the finger directly at me. Here is where most people would have exploded. I almost did. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. I wanted to walk downstairs, stand in front of that woman, and just scream every truth I had spent 4 years swallowing. But I didn't. Because somewhere in the middle of my panic, something shifted. Something cold and clear settled over me, like a fog lifting. And a voice in my head said, "Not yet." If I reacted now, I would look emotional, hysterical. She would use it. She had already started the narrative. She was already positioning herself as the victim, the concerned mother, the protector of her son's finances. If I blew up now, I lost. So I did something I had never done in my life. I went quiet. I told Patricia that was a very serious accusation, and that we should all sit down together when Daniel got home. I kept my voice completely flat. I hung up. And then I called my sister Maya. Maya is a paralegal, and Maya has never, not once in her life, liked Patricia. She had told me years ago, "Renee, that woman is going to cause damage. I don't know when, but I know she will." I hated that she was right. Maya walked me through exactly what to do, and for the next 72 hours, I worked. I downloaded every bank statement going back 8 months. I screenshotted every transaction. I cross-referenced the withdrawal dates with timestamps, and I found something extraordinary. 2 of the larger withdrawals had been made on days I could prove, with receipts and location data on my phone, that I was nowhere near a bank. I was at Lily's pediatrician. I was at my office, clocked in on the building's keycard system. There was a paper trail. A beautiful, damning, irrefutable paper trail. But I wasn't done. Because I needed to know how. Daniel and I had a joint account. Patricia shouldn't have had access. So I called the bank, explained I was seeing suspicious activity, and asked how the linked external account had been added. The answer turned my blood cold. 6 months ago, someone had called the bank, provided Daniel's mother's information as an authorized contact on a family trust clause Daniel had never told me about. A clause that allowed a secondary account to be linked for family emergencies. Daniel had set it up 3 years before we were married. He had simply never removed it. I sat with that for a long time. Was Daniel involved? That question nearly destroyed me. I love my husband. I love him. But in that moment, I genuinely did not know what I was dealing with. So I did not confront him yet either. Instead, I made copies of everything. 2 USB drives, one at Maya's house, one in my car. I took photos of every document. I forwarded key emails to a private account Patricia didn't know existed. And then, I called a family attorney. She told me what Patricia had done was not just morally bankrupt, it was criminal. Unauthorized access to a financial account, fraudulent transfer of funds. We were looking at potential charges. Potential charges. And that's when I decided. I wasn't going to blow this up in the kitchen during an argument. I was going to let Patricia walk into a room and blow it up herself. I planned it for a Sunday. Daniel's day off. Patricia always made a big family lunch on Sundays, her way of keeping control of the room. I told Daniel there was something we needed to discuss as a family. He looked nervous. Patricia looked smug. We sat down at the table she had set. I put a manila folder on the table. I said, "Patricia, a few days ago you called me and told Daniel I had stolen from our account. I want to give you the opportunity, right now in front of your son, to either stand by that accusation or take it back." She looked at Daniel. She smiled, that tight, patient smile she always used before she played the victim. And she said she stood by it. She said she had seen the activity. She said she was heartbroken but felt she had no choice. I opened the folder. I laid out the statements, every withdrawal, every date, every amount. The external account in her name. The phone records showing she had called the bank. The dates I was provably elsewhere. I watched her face go from smug to confused to something I had never seen on Patricia before. Afraid. Daniel didn't say a word for a very long time. He picked up each page. He read it slowly. He set it down. And then he looked at his mother and said, "Mom, what did you do?" She cried. Of course she cried. She said she had needed the money, that she hadn't wanted to ask, that she had planned to pay it back, that she would have paid it back. She said she never thought it would go this far. She said she loved us. She said she loved me. I let her cry. And then I slid one more piece of paper across the table, a letter from our attorney, outlining her options. She could repay the full amount within 30 days and sign a notarized repayment agreement, or we would be filing a formal police report that afternoon. She repaid it, every cent, and she moved out within the week. That was 14 months ago. Daniel and I went to couples counseling. Not because he was involved. He wasn't. The investigation confirmed it completely. But because trust had been cracked between us. And we needed to rebuild it properly, not just paper over it. We're okay. More than okay, actually. Losing that false peace, that exhausting, tooth-grinding peace I had been keeping for years, it made room for something more honest. Patricia and Daniel have a relationship still. It's different now. Quieter. She has boundaries she did not have before. He enforces them in ways he did not before. She has never apologized to me directly. Not really. She sent a card once that said she was sorry things got complicated. I kept the card. Not out of bitterness, but to remind myself. Some people will steal from you, frame you, cry on your table, and still never fully reckon with what they did. And that used to break my heart. Now it just tells me everything I need to know. Lily still calls her grandma. I would never take that from her. Children deserve to make their own relationships, their own discoveries. Someday she'll be old enough to understand the full story. I'll tell her the truth, all of it, because the truth is the only thing Patricia could never touch. If you're in a family that makes you feel small, that chips away at you slowly, one bitten tongue at a time, I want you to hear this. The moment you stop reacting and start documenting, the power shifts. Completely. Don't be loud, be thorough. My name is Renee, and this was my confession. What would you have done? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe to Confession Verdict for new stories every week. If this hit you somewhere deep, share it. Someone out there needs to hear it.